Hey guys, before we go into the office today, I just want to give a quick shout out to my son who's 10 years old and is handling all of this YouTube content for me. I am technologically challenged, and so I could not do this without him. And I also need to call out my wife. She's allowing me to take over her office so I can sit at the computer and get that stuff out to you. So I really appreciate it. Love you guys.
What's going on YouTube? Pulse Train Channer here. What a week. I started my channel on Monday, had an hour-long live chat with Rags to Riches on Tuesday. It's just been crazy. I'm really excited to be doing this. I wanted to go back and revisit one of the questions that Rags had asked me during the interview. And you'll have to excuse my lack of technology here, but I'm just going to show you guys what question he was asking me.
If you got somebody who just wants to come in and they just want to lose 30 pounds. They want to lose 30 pounds in a reasonable amount of time, so we don't have to rush it. What techniques are you going to use for that person to get those 30 pounds lost?
Okay. Again, it really depends.
And so I went on to tell him it kind of depends on the individual. Like if I'm dealing with an older client or a younger client, and he asked me about a 25-year-old and a 45-year-old. And I went on to tell him about the differences in the muscle tissues that they have. I compared things from like a filet mignon and beef jerky, and how people are different with age. But I didn't really answer his question about what we do in order to help somebody like that, and what one of the techniques that we use at our facility that we've had a lot of success with. And so I put together this little sheet here that kind of shows one of our more successful techniques that we use with our customers. And I gave a couple of examples. I started off with the 25-year-old that Rags had asked me about. I just wanted to point out here kind of those same things that I said in the video, that no one workout philosophy is right for anyone, and that these examples below are not intended to be an exercise prescription. They're just examples of what Rags had asked me about how we go about doing it. So the short answer is we have found that some heavier strength training combined with cardiovascular exercise intervals works really well on helping people to lose some excess adipose tissue, some excess fat. So one of the ways we go about doing that is by combining strength training and high intensity cardiovascular exercise. So in the example of the 25-year-old here, I give that he is a 25-year-old, not on any meds, and his goal is to lose 30 pounds of fat. The way that we would first go about doing this is trying to figure out what his not resting heart rate, but what his working heart rate is. I'm using one of the simplest formulas that there is that most people know, which is 220 minus your age. That's going to give you your maximal attainable heart rate. And then from there, we go to get the rate that we want to work at. So if we take 220 minus your age, we get 195 beats per minute being the max. And then we want 75%, and that gives us 147 beats per minute. If we're doing, if you're going to want to go a little bit harder, we're going to go down to 85%, and that's 166 beats per minute. So the range that we're going to train this individual in when we're doing the cardio portion is between 147 and 166 beats per minute. When we are working on the strength side of it, let me pull this up just a little bit. Excuse my lack of technology. What we can see here is we usually do 3 groupings with these people, and this workout is based on just coming in twice a week, and we're doing a full body routine. If they're coming in more than twice a week, we can break this up into body parts, and we would do a similar type of routine but just more broken up. What you can see here, the first round of what we're going to be doing with this individual, the 25-year-old, we're going to be doing a 12-10-8 rep scheme. We're going to be increasing the amount of weight as the reps go down. So these are just some examples of what we might do. We would start with a pressing exercise. An example would just be a dumbbell bench. Then we would go right into a pulling exercise, like a lat pull. And third, we would do our jump rope, which would be our cardiovascular portion on there. And you can see here, I write out the percentages that we talked about earlier, that 75 to 85% of the heart rate max. And then the individual is going to get 60 to 90 seconds rest before we do that same grouping 2 more times. So we'll do we'll do the pressing exercise, we'll do the pulling exercise, and then we'll do the high intensity cardio for 1 minute. Then they get 60 to 90 seconds rest. We're going to repeat that to get 2 to 3 times, and then we'll move on to the next grouping. In this case, the next grouping is going to be a lower body portion here. So we're going to do a bilateral leg exercise. Bilateral, all that means is you're using both legs at the same time. And so we're going to be doing still that 12-10-8 rep scheme. Again, getting heavier each set. An example of a bilateral leg exercise would be a leg press, squats, hack squats, deadlifts. Those are some of the simple exercises that we would be doing with individuals. So we do that first, then we're going to move down to a unilateral leg exercise. So that's using one leg at a time. An example of that would be like a split squat or a walking lunge or a lateral lunge. We're going to do that second, and then we're going to do a minute of the air bike or another high intensity cardio. Again, using that same measurement, 75 to 85% of their heart rate max. We would do that same thing for 2 to 3 rounds, I should say, depending on the individual. And then we would move to our third grouping. Still in the same, this is all in the same workout. So this person's getting worked over really hard. We're going to go, our third grouping is going to be a shoulder exercise, a bicep exercise, and a tricep exercise. Again, sticking with the 12-10-8 rep scheme. An example of a shoulder exercise would be a barbell shoulder press. And we would go to a bicep exercise, straight bar curls, easy bar curls. A tricep exercise is going to be dips, tricep extensions, and then we're going to do the step mill or any other high intensity cardio for 75 to 85% of your heart rate max. Again, doing that 2 to 3 times, and we'll get all the way through that, and then we would usually end our routine with some stretching, some cool down stretching. So that would be for the healthy individual who's young. You can see our rep scheme is 12-10-8. We're getting heavier. And then there's some of the choices of exercises I would choose differently for the 25-year-old versus the next person we're going to look at. That being said, I'm going to scroll down here to the next person, which is this 60-year-old individual, and I'm going to say he's on blood pressure medications. So many people are on blood pressure medications that we have to take that into consideration. So one of the things that we don't do with those people is we don't use the heart rate as a measure of intensity for their cardiovascular portion. The reason being is that the heart rate medications often, they artificially lower the heart rate, and it makes your age predicted heart rate kind of formula unusable because it's not valid, because their heart rate is already going to be pushed down. So if you push them up into that 75 or 85% range of what it would be, they might be at like 110%. So you can't use that same formula. So what we use for a lot of our older population and for those who are on medications, we use what's called rate of perceived exertion. It's a pretty simple thing. You see it a lot. You can Google that. I'll put a link to it at the end of the video. But basically, they should be able to talk in only 1 or 2 words. So, like, are you doing okay? Yeah, they're breathing heavy. But yeah, that's how we're going to check the measurement on this individual and how they're doing with their cardiovascular portion of the workout. Again, very similar to the first person. You'll just notice that what we did here is they're doing a higher amount of reps. They're doing a 15-12-10 rep scheme. I found over the years that we want to work a little bit lighter and then as we get heavier, very similar, but we want to work more endurance to strength. Whereas when we're working with the younger individual, we want to go more strength to power. You're not quite into the power range when you get even at 8 reps, but we're going to go from that range with the younger individual, and we like a little bit higher range of reps for some of our older population. So an example here, we did a 15-12-10 rep pressing exercise, again, the dumbbell bench, an incline press, push-ups, those are examples of some chest pressing exercises. We're going to go to a pulling exercise next, 15, 12, 10. Again, each time that we go down in the number of reps we're doing, we're going to be increasing the amount of weight. And then we're going to do, our 60 seconds of cardiovascular exercise. In this case, we did the treadmill. We give them a little bit more rest. Sometimes it takes them a little bit longer to recover. So the older individual, they're going to get 60 to 120 seconds of rest before we move on to doing that first grouping over again. And again, we'll repeat this 2 to 3 times before we move on to the second grouping. The second grouping we have here, very similar, bilateral leg exercise, same exercises that we had there before. Again, but we're just doing a different rep scheme, and then we're going to move down to the second exercise, a unilateral leg exercise, split squats, lunge, lateral lunges. Some of these people, they might not have the best balance, so I like to give them an opportunity to hold on to something. There might be something that they need to balance themselves, and we're going to work on balance too as part of their exercise routine, but that's one thing that we may do with them, just so they're a little bit more stable when they're doing the unilateral leg exercise, meaning using one leg at a time. Again, they're going to get 1 minute of high intensity cardio. This example, we did the elliptical. I like to use the one with arms, so we're using arms and legs together. And so we'll do that. Again, we'll do 2 to 3 reps, 2 to 3 sets, before we move on to the third grouping. The third grouping that we're going to do is same again with the 15, 12, 10, shoulder, bicep, tricep, and then a minute on the rower. Again, increasing the weight as the rep scheme goes down. These are just a couple of examples of how we would go about working with individuals, and we've had a lot of success doing it this way if their main goal is caloric expenditure and fat burn. This is a very simple way of giving you guys an example of what we would actually do with an individual to help them achieve those goals. Again, these are just samples. These are not meant to be prescriptions for what we would do with what I would have you do. So don't take this and go out and start doing it. You want to talk to a professional, and then be sure to consult your doctor before you start any type of exercise program. Really enjoy getting online, and now I'm looking forward to what comes up next. So if you guys have any questions, be sure to hit me up in the comments, and I will try and leave as many of the, I forgot. I'm going to leave some of these sample workout sheets too in there, which show you kind of how we would write it up. And we're not going to have all this lingo like you see here in the document. I'm going to show you what it would look like, how we would chart it as you're going along. So I'll put those down in the comments or on the side there for you guys to take a look at. Hope you guys enjoy the video, and I look forward to seeing a lot more of you guys on YouTube.